Within the last few seconds, what was already a terrible situation got a lot worse. Police just came over to us seconds before he went on air and told us there are 2 more victims. We're about a half-mile away in this field, and when we were here today, we found chunks of that roof all the way over here, pieces of shingle. There's even a piece of plywood, and on this home right next to us here, pieces of the insulation from the top of that roof stuck to the side of this building. I'll show you what we're talking about. You go to one spot here, there's nothing on the ground because the wind has taken all that snow, picked it up and moved it around. Then you move back to a spot like this, all the way along this walkway, you can see where the snow is piled up. The message tonight, pretty much the opposite of that graffiti that appeared 1 week ago. This is just one example of a lot of signs. Luckily right now, there's a lot of shade out here because the sun is behind the Capitol Dome. Here's a thermometer we've had out for a while. It's reading just under 100 right now. That's in the shade. Before, this spot was all sun and it was reading just over 120. Witnesses here at Extreme World paint a chilling picture of a 12-year-old girl taken to the top of this white pyramid-shaped ride to begin what was supposed to be a free fall adventure. Well, when she was released and began falling, the net that was supposed to catch her did not. And one of these golfers actually used the club, jabbing it at the man to try and take him down. That step was only the beginning.
There may be nothing that can put a halt to a peaceful afternoon golf game as instantly as cries for help.
It caught my attention pretty quick. She was in a lot of stress.
5 o'clock Friday, Blair Andreessen is on the 17th tee at Odana Hills when he realizes something is wrong. He hops in his golf cart and with 2 friends heads toward the screams.
When these 3 golfers got to the edge of the golf course and onto Wedgwood Way, they started to get a better picture of what was going on, and it wasn't good.
Her husband came out of the house and he'd taken a beating.
Victims Barbara and Robert Meyer say 40-year-old Sean Strunk had forced his way into their home and said he was going to sexually assault Barbara.
It is still shocking that someone would come into my house, come running up my stairs, grabbing me.
Barbara still has bruises on her arm, and Robert, who struggled to free his wife, has the black eye to show for it.
Well, everything went very fast until he started punching me.
The couple was able to call 911, and when Barbara ran out of the house screaming for help, Strunk followed.
Why he ran after me as I ran towards Odana, I have no idea. That's what's really frightening.
Luckily, she ran right into the 3 golfers.
And he gave me a flinch or something, and I just took him down.
They were very courageous and very effective.
The golfers struggled with Strunk until police arrived, and thanks to their quick action, a career criminal with a record dating back to '94
This tells me that this man is very dangerous.
is once again behind bars.
Anybody would have done the same thing.
Passing cars are the type of thing we don't often notice. Often seen as nothing more than a nuisance.
It was incredible.
It takes a desperate situation to look at them differently.
And the fact that there were a couple cars coming by right at that instance really saved my life.
Rod Ripley, owner of Lucky's Bar and Grill, was working on a mirror in the bar Saturday morning when it buckled and sliced his arm so badly, he's been told he lost half to 2/3 of his blood.
I look over and I'm like, is this really happening?
Marcus Stanford was driving by with his girlfriend when he saw Ripley walk out the front door covered in blood, yelling for help.
It was one of those situations where I kind of felt like just dive right into it.
Ripley managed to get himself out of the front of the building. That's when passersby saw him. He walked all the way through the parking lot to get in front of the back door. That's when Marcus got here and started to help.
He was laying right here.
As his girlfriend and another woman called 911, Stanford grabbed some towels, wrapped 2 tourniquets around Ripley's arm, and helped him elevate it.
It was stunning. They walked into a really stressful scene and they were able to keep themselves together and really do some things to help that patient buy some time.
Makes you feel good. It's just something that, I had to do, So, I hope someone would do that for me if I was in that situation.
In the right place at the right time, Stanford kept his cool and kept one grateful patient alive until paramedics arrived.
I can't put words to it. It's unbelievable. I mentioned to my girlfriend last night, I said, we have to do something for these guys.
They try to make it easy for you to protect your family. More than 22,000 registered sex offenders in the state of Wisconsin. And all their information you need to keep your kids safe. Only a keystroke away. At least that's how it's supposed to work. Unless they don't want to be found.
As a mom, is it something that, how much does it concern you?
100 and some %.
54-year-old Glenn Holton told police he'd be living in this Janesville home. We checked.
Is there a Glenn that lives here?
No, there's not.
Holton, a man convicted of second-degree sexual assault of a child, is on the run. The people now living at the home have already been there for 45 days.
You watch the neighbors, of course.
Kyra Vinker lives across the street and has a 10-year-old son. She's worried no one knows where Holton is.
You have to keep watching out to see if he's going to come back, to see if, maybe he doesn't know somebody moved in there now, and, that he's back in the area.
Holton is one of 1,500 registered sex offenders the state lists as non-compliant.
In my own neighborhood right here in Madison, there are 8 registered sex offenders, but 2 not living where they're supposed to.
It's a neighborhood full of children. We went to Charles Walker's last listed address, this apartment on Ashford Lane. His name isn't on the buzzer. The state says he didn't respond to their last check.
Very disturbing, yes.
3 blocks away, an apartment Dwayne Carter lists as home. No answer at the door, and the landlord tells us he's never lived there.
I mean, the state should know where they're at. I mean, what if someone came missing and we don't know where they're at?
In Dane County alone, 106 of 831, or about 12%, of sex offenders required to register are currently not compliant.
It's a good system.
Lance Wiersma is the director of Wisconsin Sex Offender Programs.
We investigate each and every one of the individuals who are non-compliant, and our primary goal is to bring that person back into compliance so the registry reflects accurate information about where that person is and what they're doing.
The Department of Corrections periodically sends letters to the home where a sex offender says he or she is living. If they don't respond to that letter, they become not compliant. Wiersma says at times it can just be a misunderstanding, and he points out 93% of registered sex offenders in the state are compliant. Police. But those trying to disappear become targets for local law enforcement. Oftentimes, corrections working with U.S. Marshals to hunt them down.
Tonight, the Madison Police Department needs your help.
And putting their mug out there for all the public to see. Wisconsin's most wanted website has the worst of the worst offenders police desperately want to find, some on the run for years.
We've been successful in tracking the majority of those people down and making sure that the right individuals are prosecuted and held accountable.
The information is supposed to be there to make it easy for parents. Sadly, not everyone is playing by the rules.
He moved out a while ago now?
In Madison, Chris Woodard, NBC 15 News.